Welcome to the Not Old Better Show, Good Housekeeping Interview Series on radio and podcast. The show covering all things health, wellness, culture, kitchen, cooking, and more. The show for all of us who aren't old. We're better. Each week, we'll interview superstars, experts, and ordinary people doing extraordinary things, all related to this wonderful experience of getting better, not just older. Now here's your host, the award-winning Paul Vogelzang.
You've heard it before. Wear sunscreen every day. But let's be honest, most of us weren't raised doing that, and we are making up for lost time now. We slap it on at the beach, maybe before a walk, and sometimes, we remember, on a cloudy day. But here's the thing. The sun doesn't care if it's cloudy, cool, or January. It's still aging your skin and putting your health at risk. And for those of us over 50, the stakes are even higher. So, what should you actually look for in a sunscreen? What do those mysterious ingredients on the back of the bottle mean? And how can you tell if a product really works or just feels nice? Today's guest has the answers. Sabina Wizemann is the beauty lab director at the Good Housekeeping Institute, where she and her team have tested nearly 800 sunscreens. Yep, 800. Sabina is a chemist, a scientist, and a sunscreen sleuth. She knows which ingredients protect, which ones irritate, and which formulas deserve a permanent place in your medicine cabinet. From mineral versus chemical, SPF, myths, white cast worries, to what matters most for mature skin, Sabina Wizemann is bringing the science without the jargon. This isn't a lecture. It's a look behind the scenes at how some of the best sunscreens get their seal of approval straight from the lab that tests them all. And yes, we'll even get into her favorite picks. This is a summer essential and a year-round reality check. So let's get to it. I'm Paul Vogelzang. This is the Not Old Better Show, Good, Better, Best, Good Housekeeping Interview Series. Please join me in welcoming Sabina Wizemann. Sabina Wizemann, Beauty Lab Director at Good Housekeeping Institute. It is so good to talk to you. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, it's just a pleasure. I think, the subject we're going to talk about today, sunscreens, is just so crucial. We hear a lot about sunscreens, but I don't think they're fully understood. You've written about this subject. You've tested these. My gosh, you and your team have tested 800 sunscreens. And I think that is one impressive number. What makes, out of that 800, what makes a sunscreen truly stand out to you as a scientist beyond just the SPF number?
That's right. We have tested over 800 products. So it's safe to say that we have seen all sorts of different types of sunscreen formulations. Yes, the lab tests sunscreens almost yearly. Every year we test different type. Like one year we'll focus on facial sunscreen. The other year we'll focus on body. We also test tinted sunscreens. So it's safe to say that we have seen all sorts of formulation products, textures of the sunscreen products that are on the market. And we are continuously getting new ones every day. And we understand that finding a right sunscreen that really speaks to you, that you really love using, it can be a really tricky thing. And that's where our testing comes into play. When I think about what really stands out about the sunscreen, I would say it would be cosmetic elegance. So how does it feel on your skin? Do you really like to apply it? Does it interfere with your skincare and your makeup? And are you looking forward to wearing it every day? Because you have to wear a sunscreen every day. That is the most important thing. So if you like your product, if you like the texture and application, you are more likely to apply it. And that seems to be a really tricky thing to do with sunscreens. Not many people really enjoy using them. They really use them as a sort of necessity because they have to. But if it is something that you really enjoy, then your job is done. You found the product that you will be applying every day and you will feel protected and you will be protected.
I love that term that you use, cosmetic excellence, because I think you're absolutely right. You have a very nice way of putting this. So often I think sunscreen is an after the fact kind of product, and it may not be exactly what we want to use in order to, moisturize or cleanse or do all the things that some of these other products are designed to do. But primarily, protecting our skin is so important. And those of us over age 50, we have a little bit different type of skin, aging skin. And with that in mind, what should some of our audience over age 50 look to in a daily sunscreen? Because as you say, we have to put this on. We have to get this protection, and we want it to complement our mature skin type.
Well, I just recently turned 50, and this question really resonates with me. As we age, our skin gets thinner and drier. It's easier to irritate with products that maybe do not suit us anymore. So for maturing skin, I would recommend to look for sunscreens that have hydration and nourishing in their claims. This means that they have been fortified with other ingredients that can help keep that moisture inside, and make your skin feel comfortable. And also like boost your hydration in addition to providing a good protection. For older skin, and actually for all skin, it's really important to use SPF 30 or above when we are talking about facial sunscreens. For body, and when you're going out and spending it all day outside, or hiking or going to a beach, we recommend SPF 50 or higher. But I have to say that we should not probably rely on the sunscreen as our um, entire sunscreen care, even though we see products today that offer anti-aging and hydrating benefits. Sunscreen should come into as a last step of your skincare routine and before a makeup. So if you have a serum and moisturizer that works for you, you keep applying that, and then it's the best to wait a little bit for all of that to dry before you apply sunscreen. Also, wait for a sunscreen to dry and then put your makeup or whatever you do after that. Is it a tinted moisturizer or a foundation? But sunscreen today, as I mentioned, they're getting more and more sophisticated. So they will have ingredients in there to boost that hydration and help us keep our skin moisturized throughout the day. So ingredients such glycerin, dimethicone, hyaluronic acid, they're all really good ingredients to boost hydration during the day. As well, niacinamide and vitamin C that fight free radicals. And so that is also extra help for our maturing skin.
Yeah, all that is really very helpful. I've read your work and I know of your educational history as a chemist, and I wonder if you can explain. In my reading, I found that there is a difference between mineral and chemical sunscreens, and I wonder if you'll tell us as a chemist, perhaps in more lay terms that we can understand, what is the difference between chemical and mineral, and then what perhaps is better for particular skin types.
So yes, there are chemical and there are mineral sunscreens, and they differ in their UV filters, which are chemical ingredients in both cases. So chemical sunscreen have UV filters that absorb UV, convert it into heat, and release it from the skin. They're usually liquids, and they usually have a little nicer cosmetic profile, so they're easier to apply. Mineral sunscreen are solids, so they're fine powders, and they also are applied on the skin. They also absorb UV light, convert it into heat, and release it, but they also scatter and reflect the light. So they differ in the way how they interact with skin and the way how they block the UV rays. In chemical terms, chemical sunscreens are actually called organic sunscreen because they have a carbon atom in them. And mineral sunscreens are called inorganic because they do not have a carbon atom in them. They come from minerals that can be found naturally in soil, but today both chemical and mineral sunscreens are actually synthesized in the lab for the sunscreen use.
Yeah, just as I like that cosmetic excellence term, I like to hear about this idea of kind of refracting the light, almost acting as a barrier there chemically. I think that's really very helpful to kind of know about that. And in your role as director of the Beauty Lab, you really lead this testing in terms of efficacy and feel, this idea of cosmetic excellence. Again, I like that. So why is the texture and the wearability so important when it comes to sun protection? I can understand that if it feels right, we're more apt to put it on, but it goes deeper than that.
Right. So sunscreens are really hard to formulate, and it's not just one ingredient that makes the product. So the whole formula has to work harmoniously to, of course, protect you, be safe, and feel good on your skin. So it doesn't feel tight, it doesn't feel irritated, and that's where their cosmetic elegance comes in. And it's more often than not so easy to achieve because there is a lot of work in there, a lot of trial and error, and formulation chemists have to spend a lot of time testing it, making sure it's safe, it's stable, and it does what it says it will do, and that will protect our skin, of course. And in a certain ways, the product can claim to have like extraordinary ingredients in there, but ultimately, if the consumer doesn't use it, it doesn't really, then it doesn't matter. It has to really work for a consumer.
What a masterclass from Sabina Wizemann. Clear, honest, and packed with practical tips we can all use. So whether you're shopping, drugstore, or high-end mineral or chemical, face or full body, Sabina's insights help take the guesswork out of sunscreen and put the science back in. That's how smart protection starts. We will continue with Sabina Wizemann in just a moment. If you're like me, you've trusted Good Housekeeping for years. The recipes, the reviews, the real-life advice that makes your home smarter, healthier, and, well, happier. But now Good Housekeeping has taken it to the next level with GH+, a powerful membership designed just for people who love trusted information and want more of it faster. With GH+, you'll get unlimited digital access to every article, recipe, and lab-tested product review on goodhousekeeping.com. You'll also receive the iconic Good Housekeeping magazine delivered right to your door for an entire year. You'll also get exclusive recipes straight from the legendary Good Housekeeping Test Kitchen, member-only newsletters, discounts, and direct access to the experts at the Good Housekeeping Institute. This is more than a subscription. It's your invitation to join a trusted community that values quality, curiosity, and everyday excellence. Head to goodhousekeeping.com/GH+ and sign up today. Your kitchen, your home, and your peace of mind will thank you. We'll have links to all of this in our show notes today, so please check it out. That's goodhousekeeping.com/GH+. Our guest today is Sabina Wizemann, a chemist, director of the Beauty Lab at Good Housekeeping Institute. We're talking today about sunscreens and how important they are in daily use. It doesn't have to be summer. It can be January, and you could definitely use a good sunscreen. Sabina is answering all of our questions. I guess one that comes to mind, to me frequently is this idea of exaggerated myths around sunscreens. I wonder if you'll tell us a little bit about what some of the myths of sunscreens are and what you've come across, and in particular, how we can be savvy consumers about sunscreens and understanding what's on the label and what we really need from it.
So in the United States, sunscreens are regulated by FDA, and they're categorized as over-the-counter drugs, which means they're tested for their efficacy and safety first, like any drug that comes on the market. So they already received a very scrutiny before they will come into our homes. And we at the Good Housekeeping, we do not actually evaluate the efficacy of sunscreens with instruments. We just really test them with consumers because these labs that test SPF, they are highly specialized in that kind of testing. As for exaggerated or fear mongering things about sunscreens, I do feel that over the years we have seen all sorts of worrisome accusation that sunscreen might cause harm, that chemical sunscreen or mineral sunscreen, that one are better than the other. The truth is they're all effective when formulated correctly. And not using a sunscreen causes much higher danger. Chemical UV filter and sunscreens have been unnecessarily vilified over the years. I think people are very concerned about chemical sunscreen, and FDA regulates, as I mentioned, they regulates all UV filters that come in the sunscreen for safety and efficacy. They don't say they're unsafe, but they continue to monitor them and reevaluate them. In our studies over the years, we found that actually chemical sunscreen outperform minerals a lot more than for their they outperform them for their cosmetic elegance, which means texture, wearability, like satisfaction, and so forth. And people just like wearing them a lot more than mineral sunscreen. And there's also a interesting kind of a note that we don't hear a lot about it, and that is that zinc oxide, titanium dioxide that are mineral sunscreen, although they not occur in nature, they're actually synthesized in a laboratory, just like chemical UV filters.
Sabina Wizemann, of course, director of the beauty lab at the Good Housekeeping Institute. So let's dive in a little bit to the testing, because you talk about not necessarily using the tools, but really using some of the subjects, actually doing some testing on all of us. And so maybe tell us how that works. Do you bring in a group of people just randomly? Do you have some specific people that you look for and specific skin types? And what makes that product for that person really, really perform as promised?
So yes, there is actually a lot of administrative work that goes into before we even send product to testers.
Yeah.
Good Housekeeping has a very large pool of testers that we can tap in and pre-survey them before we start launching the test. So we will survey people about their sunscreen usage. We will survey them about their skin tones and any kind of skin types, any kind of issues that they have, and we will assign products according to their profile. We test the sunscreens actually the way we want to see how they actually perform in a regular life, how they perform when like we get them in our houses. Are we going to be using them? Are we going to like it? Do we like them? Will we get a sunburn if we go to a beach? We also survey people, for example, for face sunscreens, because they should be worn. We should be wearing them all year long, no matter if it's a rainy day, or it's a winter, if it's cold or sunny. They should be a part of our daily routine. We test them year long, and it doesn't have to be a specific summer. For body, we actually see people who are going on vacation, who do a lot of outdoor activities, who are maybe gardening all day, and so forth. So that is also part of our screening process, and these products will be assigned accordingly. When we send products to our testers, they're usually blinded, so they do not know the brand, and we try to alleviate that bias that a person can have. All of us have, to some degree, bias when we see a brand that we recognize. So we're trying to take that out of equation. That is really pretty much a core of our consumer testing. They will be testing it in a field for a certain amount of time, and then they will report back via surveys. Those questions are really crafted with a lot of care, and we make sure that we ask everything that a consumer might be experiencing, and we want good and bad feedback. We actually encourage everything. We ask our testers about ease of use. So those are things such as, was it easy to apply? Did you have trouble blending it in? Um, did it irritate your skin? Did you feel like, flushed or hot after putting it on your skin? Um, do you like the smell? Do you find it pleasant or it's off-putting? When you go to the beach, how many times did you apply it? Did you actually get a sunburn? Or um, what is your satisfaction? Would you be buying this product again? And are you looking forward to using it? So once we get all that feedback, we will crunch the data and rank the products according to these attributes. Also, it's important to say that we select for the facial sunscreen, we select people with different skin types and tones. So somebody who has oily or combination skin will be getting a product that is crafted for that type of skin. Sunscreens that claim that they have no white cast or residue, they will probably be distributed to all people with sensitivities. We will be taking considered measures to make sure that these sunscreens are appropriate for people with sensitive skin and so forth. In that way, we can recommend products for different skin types, different skin tones, different needs.
Maybe talk a little bit more about skin tone and skin type. I'd be curious what the science says about darker skin and sunscreen type. We've even heard that perhaps darker skin individuals don't even need sunscreen. That's got to be an exaggeration and a myth, but I'm curious about what the science says.
Darkened skin has a, a, a lot more melanin than fair skin. So there is a natural protection from like burning, but it's not at zero. So I think the verdict is very clear that everybody should wear sunscreen. Even though melanin-rich skin doesn't burn as easily, the still of damage of DNA damage and cancer is still not zero. So everybody should wear sunscreen all the time, and they should find the one that suits them the best.
Well, we hear, and you mentioned this too, SPF numbers, SPF 30 versus SPF 50. Is there a meaningful difference between that, those two different numbers, especially for everyday use in the older adult population?
Yeah. Well, there's a difference in protection. So there is a difference between SPF 30 and 50, and that is an amount of rays that they block from this sunscreen rays. So SPF 30 will block around 96%, and SPF 50 will block around 97%. However, this change in SPF is not on a linear scale. So it doesn't mean that you will be able to spend more time in the sun without reapplying. So most of the products with their drug information on the back of the packaging would say, please reapply every 2 hours. So it blocks more UVB rays, but it's not something that you should just apply and forget about it if your SPF is higher.
Over the years, you've seen probably a real evolution in sun care products, and I wonder if you'd talk a little bit about that. What are some of the innovations over the years that you've found most promising, and what are most exciting to come?
So yeah, I mentioned earlier that FDA does regulate sunscreen UV filters as over-the-counter drugs. So getting a new UV filter into U.S. market, it's a really challenging and very expensive process. So we haven't seen, because of that, huge innovations in the area of UV filters. But what brands have focused on over the years is actually making products being easier to apply and having a better delivery system and technologies behind it. So we see things such as like encapsulation, nano zinc oxide, um, introduction of new film formers, which are really important to put to make that even layer of protection when you apply your product, as well as kind of like skinification of sunscreen, putting the anti-aging ingredients that will further, um, help your skin from anti-aging, such like a vitamin C, niacinamide, peptides, and so forth.
Final question for you, Sabina Wizemann.
Mm.
As a chemist and as a consumer, what's your personal go-to sunscreen? Are you thinking about the cosmetic excellence? Are you thinking about the protective properties? What makes it a winner in your eyes?
So yeah, I don't think about protective properties
Uh-huh.
and very deeply. I will go by the SPF,
Mm.
and I will always look for a for my sunscreen to be a broad spectrum. So it protects from UVB and UVA as well. Every time we test sunscreen categories, we are very excited to see what comes on top, what people really like, what kind of skin type, is responding well in certain product and whatnot. So oftentimes I will actually start really using and loving the product that came up on the top,
Yeah.
which is extra reassurance in our testing. For the facial sunscreen, which I apply every day, I find that Innisfree, which we recently tested, but results haven't been reported yet, that it really does well on my skin, and it's lovely under my makeup. It's something that I don't think about twice when I apply, and I also really like how it smells. So that's a big plus.
Yeah.
For days when I go outside and spend a lot more time on the sun, I do use La Roche-Posay, which is our previous winner.
Sabina Wizemann, the director of the Beauty Lab at Good Housekeeping Institute. It's been a pleasure talking to you. This has been so helpful. This is just all fascinating. I know our audience is going to be so interested in this information. We will have links in our show notes for articles, research, and work from Sabina Wizemann and her team at the Good Housekeeping Institute. This isn't just a summer thing, although we are hitting on it in the summer months of July, but maybe we'll have you back in January or December. But Sabina Wizemann, thank you for your time, being so generous, and please do come back.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Thanks to Sabina Wizemann and the Good Housekeeping Institute for today's illuminating conversation. If you're headed outside today, or even if you're not, remember, good skin health is a lifelong habit, and sunscreen is a key part of that plan. You can find out more about the top tested sunscreens from Sabina and her team on goodhousekeeping.com. We'll have links where you can find out all of that information. And of course, you can visit this episode anytime, along with our full catalog of interviews at notold-better.com. Follow us on social media. We're at notoldbetter on Twitter and notoldbetter on Instagram, where we share stories, behind-the-scenes moments, and updates that you won't want to miss. This has been a production of NOBS Studios. I'm Paul Vogelsang. Thanks for spending time with us. I hope you'll join me again next time. Remember, be well, be safe. Let's talk about better. The Not Old Better Show, Good Housekeeping, Good, Better, Best Interview Series on radio and podcast. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next time.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Not Old Better Show Good Housekeeping Interview Series on radio and podcast. Good Housekeeping is more than just a magazine. It's a beacon of reliability, offering tested and trusted advice on everything from health and wellness to home improvement and recipes. With their iconic Good Housekeeping seal, you can trust the products and tips they recommend, knowing they've been thoroughly vetted for quality and effectiveness. To find out more about all of today's stories or to view our extensive back catalog of previous shows, simply visit notold-better.com. Join us again next time as we deep dive into some of the most fascinating real-life stories from across the world, all focused on this wonderful experience of getting better, not just older. Let's talk better. The Not Old Better Show Good Housekeeping Interview Series on radio and podcast.